Hi.
Hello.
So for those that don't know you, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, everybody. My name's Miranda, and I run a company called Perform Ability, and we are a therapy-aligned, disability-specific performing arts program for people with disabilities.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
I know, it's getting longer and longer, isn't it?
Just slowly adding on as time goes on. So what made you get into all of this?
Yeah, so I actually didn't know anyone with a disability at all. But we had a student join a mainstream school. I had a mainstream school in Newcastle, and she had Down syndrome and she was deaf and stole the show at the concert completely. I was fascinated by her because she could feel the bass in the floor and was more
Oh,
in
wow.
time, yeah, than anyone else in the class. So I was fascinated by how she learned, and she taught me so much. And her mother was so grateful at the end of the concert that she'd been a part of the studio and had the chance to perform. She'd been turned away from a couple of studios before coming to us. And that's why I'm passionate now about teaching studio owners and teachers how to be more inclusive, because I don't think she was ever turned away because people didn't want her. It was just that they didn't know or didn't have understanding of how to make her feel included in a class.
And so how long did you run your own studio for? And then how long have you been doing this now?
So I had the mainstream school probably maybe 3 years, and then maybe 2 years from a distance, and sort of was just managing it but not teaching there. And I've had performability for 15 years.
That's a long time.
A long time. We've learned a lot along the way. So that's why I'm so passionate now about educating dance studio owners and dance teachers on how to be inclusive. Yeah.
What are your numbers sitting at the moment?
Sure. So we opened a studio in Wyong last year, which is our first, I guess, home base, purpose-built space. We have 99 students there at the moment.
Wow. And do they travel to you as well, or is that just from that specific area?
So what I found quickly was people with disability don't love travel. They don't love to travel around. Sometimes it can cost a lot of money and supports to get somewhere.
Yes.
But also, there's a lot of barriers as to why they would want to, why would you want to sit in a car for too long when there's so many other things going on in their life?
Yeah.
So they often try to find activities that are close by. So no one really travels too far to get to us, but we do have a couple of other little locations. So Wyong's our main studio. We also hire a space in Newcastle still, and also in the Upper Hunter near the Cessnock area. And we have online classes too.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that you've got 99 kids specifically in one area that don't like to travel. That actually tells me that there's probably so many more kids out there that would want to dance,
Yeah,
but it's not accessible to them.
totally. So we're licensing our program to fix this issue.
Oh, yay! When's
Yeah,
when's when's that happening? Is that new? Is that secretive? Can we talk about it? Is
we
it
can
out?
talk about
Okay.
it. Yeah, we can
Okay.
talk about it. So previously we licensed the program to disability specific studios. So we do have a performability class in Adelaide as well. But now this year we're launching the Performability Academy, which is
Yes.
teacher training and licensing, so that mainstream dance studios can have a performability class, fixing this issue and bridging the gap between, and having nowhere to go.
Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that because like I said, we've just met. So I have no
I
idea what I have
know.
no idea what you do. So this is all new to me as well. Oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Okay, well my next question was going to be, I'm a dance studio owner. If I came to you and asked for help, how would you help me with my dance studio?
Yeah, totally. I guess it depends on what you need help with, but at the moment we're doing free webinars to help in education around this space. So I had one this morning, just talking about how to work with children with autism, and it's specifically in the dance studio space. So sometimes we do have other people join, yoga teachers and things like that, but mostly it's tailored towards working with autistic children in your dance studios. And then we also have our teacher training. So we're doing
Okay.
1-day courses in how to work with people of all abilities. and it's pretty intense. So these one days are jam-packed from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's really, really
Wow.
massive. And we go through everything you need to know to equip teachers on how to be more inclusive.
How important do you think it is for teachers to do this sort of training?
I think it should be mandatory. I think it's imperative because students learn in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And so in learning how to teach kids with disabilities, you're learning how to be better at teaching everybody. It's
Yeah.
a seriously incredible way to upskill, to be able to learn, you know, different behavioral techniques, communication skills, communication tools, all these sorts of things that all teachers need anyway. But also more and more now we're seeing kids with disabilities enroll, especially autistic students enroll in mainstream schools. And we need to know how to work with them and support them the best that we can.
If you could give everyone just one tip on sort of where to start or where to start this journey of being more inclusive in their classroom, what would you suggest?
Getting training.
Getting training.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Getting training in it to learn everything that you need to know, because it's not just about teacher tools, it's also about accessible marketing, questions that you need to ask when you're having students enroll. How do you support children when they're having behavioral issues in classes? How do you get that information back to the parents? Like, there's just so much involved that it's not difficult, but you need to be aware of it.
I'm going to ask you about ADF.
Yeah.
Have you been before?
Do you know I've not been before?
Don't you live in Sydney, don't you?
No, I don't. Well, I have lived in Sydney for a long time, but I live on the Central Coast now, with the studio being here. But I have not
Okay.
been to ADF. I think when
Oh.
I was younger, growing up in Newcastle dance studio areas, we didn't go. Or how long has it been running for? Because it's been running a while.
Is it 10 years? More than 10 years?
Yeah, so it wouldn't have been around when I was dancing, and then as a dance
Oh.
teacher, I guess to be honest, it wasn't on my radar. But I met Angela at the Sydney Latin Festival because I'm a Latin dancer as well.
Ah, no
We did.
way.
Yeah,
Ah, that's such a small world, isn't it? How everything just
I
sort of like
know.
falls in together. Oh, so that's exciting. Okay, that's exciting. You gotta come for the first time. It is,
Yes,
it is epic. Like there
I
is
have
nothing.
seen a lot, and it looks really,
Yeah.
really epic, and I'm really excited to be going.
Do you
Yeah.
incorporate your Latin dancing into what you do with performability as well?
Yeah, yeah. So
No
we
way.
have Latin classes for our students with disability. It is amazing for them because it's partner dancing. So even just that is a whole type of social skill in itself. And that took some time to get really good at that and to feel comfortable with that. And after a couple of years, we raised $35,000 and we took them to Orlando and they competed at
Wow.
the World Latin Dance Cup. So the Latin dance community in Australia know of our little famous performability group. They love them and they perform at all the different Latin events around. And the Latin dance community is amazing. They're so supportive and beautiful. And we did a pro-am group with them too, which means the professionals dancing with the amateurs. So we had
Oh,
a team of the world champions dancing with our guys for 2 years in a row. And that was really amazing too.
that is amazing. That's so sweet. I've never heard of anything like that happening before.
I know it's funny, isn't it? Like the dance industry and the Latin dance industry are so
So
different.
far apart. So
Mm,
far apart. Like you talk to any dance teacher, like, sort of like I don't know what you call it, like mainstream jazz tap
yeah,
dance teacher, and you're like, oh, there's Latin, and we're like, what?
no, nothing.
What,
And then
what do you mean?
on
That's
top of
still
that,
around?
I know it's so different too. And like ballroom dancing is a different thing as well. Because people will say, oh, you're a Latin dancer, so you know all the ballroom people. And I'm like, nah, that's another industry altogether as well.
ADF, yay, exciting. You've seen videos, you know what it's
Yeah.
all about.
Yeah.
Obviously you're going to be coming into the teachers VIP lounge with us.
So excited.
And people are going to be able to connect with you, which is like, I feel like this will be good. I feel
Yeah.
like people need to know how to make their own little bubble more inclusive.
Mm.
Because like I'm going to go back to it because you have 99 kids that come to you, but they're not necessarily able to travel. That
Yeah.
means there's so many other people out there that want to be able to dance, but they just aren't able to find the right studio that is accessible for them or have the right things in place to be able to accept them, because we're not experts, we're really not.
Yeah.
And I know as a dance teacher, I don't know how to always cater for everyone, and I'm always happy to accept that, like, and
Right.
admit that I've had kids before where I've looked at and I'm like, I love you and I want to be able to help you and I want to teach you dance, but I don't know how to
Yeah.
teach you dance because I'm not an expert in that area. And it's almost frightening because you don't know if you're doing the right thing or if you're putting the right steps in place for that specific student, because everyone is so different. If
Yeah.
you have a kid come in, that, like you said, has Down syndrome, but
Yeah.
then you might have another kid that also has Down syndrome that are totally different personalities.
Oh yeah.
Just because this worked over here doesn't mean that it's going to work
For
over
sure.
here. So I think it's important for people to hear you talk, what you do, your
Yeah.
journey. Um, yeah, did you want to give us a little bit of an idea of what you might speak about, like a little taste or?
Yeah. Look, it always seems to come naturally when I talk in the room because questions come up and I want to be able to tailor it to actually answering what people
Yeah.
need help with, But I giggled before because one of the things that you said is something that people always are nodding their heads about, which is, I want to do this, I just don't know how.
Yes. Oh,
And that's
100%.
how everybody feels, right? Like, why don't we have a disability class already? We want to, we just don't know how.
Don't know
So
how.
I want to teach you how. I want to be able to bridge that gap and actually teach people how. So I'll go through what it looks like to help someone enroll, like questions that you should be asking from the get-go when
Yes.
students are enrolling, and how important those questions are to set you up for the right journey with that student the whole time. Behavioral strategies, classroom strategies, communication tools, but all around working with all different types of people with disabilities. So not specifically just to one thing. I recently met Karen,
Yes.
who you spoke
She's
with.
lovely. Yeah.
She's our like autism guru. She's amazing.
Oh, she's
So
phenomenal. She's so sweet.
yeah, she's lovely. I actually called her for some advice last week and she was so
Oh.
great. So it's been awesome to connect with her. But we will talk about, I guess, autism and dance and how that's a little bit different to just knowing about autism or anything, any sort of disabilities. I'm trying to give you all the information about their diagnosis, and then what does that look like in the dance classroom? How can we actually give you, tips and tricks that you're going to actually use in the room and be as helpful as possible? But there's just such a need for it, and I feel like this is so overdue that people get some support around this. And I'm kind of kicking myself that I haven't been doing this as in the teacher training for so much longer.
Yeah.
I guess I wanted to know for sure over a long period of time that I feel comfortable and know exactly what I'm doing. And
Oh,
I work
yes.
with,
Yeah.
occupational therapists and speech therapists, and we do all of that on a daily basis. So now we feel confident to pass it on. But I wish I could have passed it on earlier because there's a cry out there for it. And
Oh.
we get emails and inquiries from all over the country. So I know people are looking for these classes. They just don't exist. So we've got waiting lists all over.
Oh, well, I can't wait to hear you talk, and I can't wait to like see you and meet you in person, because I feel
Yeah.
like we're still so far. We're still so far away. Is there anything else that you wanted to say, um, about ADF, about you,
I
or
guess
about what
like
you do?
for those coming to ADF that I am going to have the chance to meet is to think about some questions that you might want to ask so that I can help you on the day, and just be open, because I know in this space everyone is so scared to say or do the wrong thing, and that's what I'm there to help with, the language around that too. And it's funny, like I was talking to a parent the other day. She is a teacher and she also has children with disability. And she was like, I'm scared I'm going to say the wrong thing sometimes. And I think people think that there's this magical thing that happens when a parent has a child with disability. They get this like manual of language, like what we
No.
can and can't say and all those things. And like, no one has any idea. So just removing that fear a little bit and creating a safe space where we can ask questions and learn and then get excited. I want people to get excited about what this could look like for them and what adding an inclusive class to their studio could do for their dance community. It's just such a massive opportunity for everybody involved. So yeah, I'm just really excited. It's going to be great.
Oh, yay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Miranda. And we will see you at ADF.
Woo! Sounds good. Thank
Yay!
you.